Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be going over France and how I just got back from France. And this is my friend Jad I'll be interviewing. And he has been over half the country of the United States and has traveled abroad many, many times. He's Lebanese, so he has family back in Lebanon. And we're going to get into an interview here, so I hope you all enjoy. To start out with, tell the viewers about your different trips to France and Paris and why you were there each time.
Okay. My first trip to France was when I was a kid, so I don't really remember it. But the times that I can remember, 2010 was my first big trip to France. I spent 6.5 weeks there, and it was a study abroad immersion program where we were not allowed to speak any English.
Through Indiana University?
Through Indiana University. I was a high school kid, and they had a high school program through IU. And,
oh, wow. So you went in high school?
Yes.
What grade?
Junior? Yeah.
I didn't
2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And like I said, no English allowed. If we spoke any English, we would be on a plane back.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were really strict, which was great.
Yeah.
That really helped my French a lot. And ended up becoming my major at IU.
Okay.
And then my second time was as an IU student, and I spent an extended stay. The first one was only 6.5 weeks. This one was 5 months in the south of France, in Aix-en-Provence, and that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Different experience though, because it was not in the same area of France. So different dialect, different type of people.
So in the first stay, did you... So 6.5 weeks, was it like half a semester, or like how did it
was
work?
during the summer.
Oh, it was during the summer.
It was just a long month and a half to really work on the language, get to know some areas of France. We were just kids.
Yeah.
You know.
So this was 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, that's great. So 2 study abroads, all in France.
Yeah.
The language now at IU, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite city in France?
That's a tough one. They're all kind of different. You know? Paris has a lot of things that I love about it. The fact that it's fast-paced. The streets are big.
Yeah.
And you've got cars, and really nice cars. I like seeing nice cars.
I was just there for 4 days, just a couple weeks ago. I saw at least 4 Ferraris a day. Lamborghinis just flying through the streets.
Well, there's those nice cars.
But Audis,
also,
Mercedes, all that.
BMW. It's nice to see the taxis are.
Yeah, true. They were like
nice
yellow Mercedes, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy."
Yeah.
Our taxis here in Indiana are garbage. So yeah. But so Paris, your favorite city then?
Yeah, Paris for sure because of the things to do. There's also a lot of diversity. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see diversity.
Yeah.
Different languages represented.
Yeah.
The food is amazing. And then you can really find a lot of Lebanese food in Paris.
Okay.
Which is great because Lebanon used to be a French colony. Lebanon is super influenced by France. A lot of Lebanese,
so do they speak any French in Lebanon?
Exactly. A lot of Lebanese
kind
people.
Kind of like Canada with Quebec?
Yes. Just like Canada has its own kind of dialect that's like
I met some girls from Quebec that were speaking French, and I was like, kind of threw me off.
Lebanese people, they've got their dialect of French too.
Yeah. So that's great, though. Let's see, favorite thing to do in Paris and why?
Okay. The Eiffel Tower is a must-see.
Yeah,
you told me.
It's mind-blowing for me because, you see all these pictures of the Eiffel Tower, and, you think, okay, it's just there, it's just a monument.
Yeah.
And then you get there and it's absolutely enormous. Yeah. There's security every which way.
Military.
I don't know how they get the pictures so perfect because there's gates every which way. And I'm sure that's gotten, more so in the last year or two, but it's incredible though. The lights that it has.
Yes.
While I was there though,
flashing lights.
Yeah. Well, when I was there, France was under 3 days of mourning. So they didn't do that. They didn't do the flashing lights. We were there at 11 p.m. waiting on the lights, and they never came.
Okay.
And I was like, it must be because they're in the 3 days of mourning. And so I forget what that was about. Why was that?
They
just
had
the
some
other day.
attacks, I think.
Yeah. It was from the Nice attack. Yeah. Their Jubilee Day or whatever that is.
Yeah, Bastille.
Yeah, Bastille. Jubilee. Another Italy or something. But let's see. Tell us about your study abroad programs and what you enjoyed most about them.
Okay, well, like I said, immersion is really a big thing, but I'm big on language. Not everybody who travels abroad is going to also want that language.
And French is a pretty good language that goes across countries. Don't you agree? I mean, like if you're in Europe, French is a pretty predominant language that, you're going to catch a lot of it elsewhere. I mean, like Italy, it's
French,
obviously
Italian,
a lot of
Spanish, English.
Yeah. I mean, in English, when I was in France, a lot of them didn't want to speak it at least. They may have spoke it, but they didn't want to speak it. And only at restaurants was it like pretty simple to like talk to somebody. But so study abroad programs and what you enjoyed most about them.
Well, yeah, the language, I love learning language. Study abroad, I think it's a must. Yeah. Especially if money isn't a super big deal.
Yeah.
If it's not an issue, then definitely it's 100%. Because it just exposes you to other parts of reality. I mean, your reality here, it's not reality. I mean, it's not the
whole world. Yeah. So how would you suggest for somebody to choose their country of study abroad? Like whatever if they don't speak a language.
If language isn't involved, or if they don't speak a language but they have a language that they've always thought was beautiful, or something like that, or like music from that language or from that culture, look into it. See if you really like it. Yeah. If it's worth going there. Another thing would be food. I mean, I went to China in high school, and I love Asian food. I love Chinese food. So that was when I go abroad. Yeah. I would love to go to China again because I love the food. Yeah.
So in
cost, language, food.
Yeah.
Would probably be the three.
See, I didn't catch a lot of just phenomenal food that was mind blowing, but I mean, we went to pretty good places, but it was like it's just you have to go
French
there.
Food is stereotypically.
You have to go there expecting way different. Like you can't go there expecting like, oh, this is going to be a better version of what it is in America, because whenever it's over there, there's hardly any salt. There's hardly any seasoning, stuff like that is what I noticed. Their meat quality is pretty decent.
It's not better, it's different.
Yeah, different for sure. And I think people think that, but they don't really expect like the massive difference.
They've got to embrace it.
But yeah, I mean, and if you go to the Eiffel Tower, there's a little place by there that are for crepes, and they're phenomenal. I mean, banana Nutella, you got to check it out. But yeah, so your favorite part, food, all that.
So food in France. Yeah. It's not going to be it's not going to be similar to American food. Mm-hmm. The three biggest things for food in France to me are bakery items. Yeah. Baked bread.
I had great stuff in Germany as well.
Really? Yeah, okay, good. Bakery items like bread, croissant, pain au chocolat, like those things with chocolate in them and fruits in them. And crepes, of course. Yeah. Okay, wine, of course.
Yeah, they did have some good wine. Yeah. I just was like, give me whatever you think's best. Yeah. And they brought me a glass, and it was
as long as you're not in a tourist place or a tourist
area. Paris obviously is.
Yeah, so it's important to avoid things that are, here's your glass of wine and your pastry and your, it's like a cafeteria almost.
Yeah. And whenever suggesting to go, I would definitely say like, check out Paris for a couple days, but also go outside and go. We went to Versailles. Yeah, we went to Versailles, which it's still a pretty big attraction. By the way, it's closed on Mondays. Don't forget that. But
and if you go, it's a lot of waiting time. In the lines.
See, we walked up and it was empty, and I was like, "Damn, it must be closed." And sure enough, it was. But we got to check out the garden, and the property's amazing. But
the garden.
When we were up there, though, we had we grabbed a bite to eat by there, and it was definitely different, Yeah. And it wasn't as touristy. It was just like a local place.
Good. Yes.
And so.
Yes.
Let's see. What's your favorite cultural thing relating to the French people?
I love the fact that I like to tell people this. Like, they're not as politically correct as some of the people we know.
Yeah.
They sometimes they're known for being less restricted, less censored, less filtered on what they say. They've got racist jokes. They've got they're blunt. They're direct. They're in your face.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's nice to have kind of a let loose.
It's like America in the 70s, like before it got really televised and everything had to be proper. Yeah. Got the flag back there. Trademark of mine over here.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're not respectful.
Yeah,
I think they are really respectful and courteous, and they care a lot. And they for example, they kiss on the cheek when they greet.
Yeah.
They are definitely compassionate and loving.
Yes.
But they've got that edge where they don't really.
They're not trying to impress everybody.
Yeah, they don't watch what they say when they make.
And speaking of passionate and loving, Europe in general, but definitely France. I mean, I saw so much public display of affection. It was unreal. And I was like, wow, like people over here like actually care about each other. And in America, like if you show too much feelings towards a girl, she's like turned off or like runs away, or you both do. And I think that's like a big cultural gap with us, in our generation at least, that I personally see. Like if you say that you have to like dick somebody around for 4 weeks before you guys are even a thing. It's not even, you're not even dating anymore. You're just a thing. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not a pro in relationships, let me tell you. But either way, I think that over there you could tell that like when they sat next to each other, they sat close. Everything was, the hands on. And it wasn't like overwhelming, and I wasn't like turned off by it. I was just like, wow, like, they actually show affection here. And in America, you have to beat around the bush for, a couple months before it even becomes official. But, yeah, I don't know. I've noticed that a lot of places, but definitely.
Another cultural difference, something I think that's kind of dying off here in the U.S. is smoking. But there's a lot of that in the streets.
Oh, Jesus. This was in Prague, but this was Prague was the first place I went in Europe, but I saw it in France too. But we would sit at this first restaurant of the trip, and I sit down, and they give us some bread, and they set this thing down, and I go to pour the olive oil in this thing, but it's a cigarette ashtray, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's not, because in America, you don't get that anymore. You have to be 10 feet from the building.
30 feet.
Yeah, and it's insane, but they definitely smoke a lot, and it's not like...
look down upon.
Yeah, and they're definitely not unhealthy. I think they walk. Oh my God!
They walk every day.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, it's unreal how much they walk over there. Yeah. But next question. Tell the viewers the top 3 things to do in France as a whole, whether culturally or sightseeing or whatever it may be.
Okay, so if you live there, so if I made a budget when I went there, and I made it so that I would still have really high quality groceries and still be able to have a good time, but not
balling out.
Not spend without thinking. Not spend without
a tourist mindset. Because
exactly. Without thinking like a tourist.
Yeah. Because being there for 6 or 5 months, you have to think like you're living there. Yeah, and he experienced it locally. So that's a whole different view, and so that's why a couple things that you think people should do in France as a whole.
So definitely consume food with mindfulness. For example, going to bakeries, going to local places, going to little places that are not so touristy.
In the walls, yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at. And eat on the go. Grab a sandwich and eat it while you're taking in the surroundings. That's one of my favorite things to do. Another thing would be to see the main attractions in Paris. I mean, we talked about the Eiffel Tower at night to see the sunset.
Yes, absolutely. 9 o'clock, go up in the Eiffel Tower. I mean, it's the sight.
The sunset over the city.
It's unreal. And we could only go up to the second floor. The top floor was closed, but I mean, it's huge up there. Like, I don't even think people understand how big the tower is. Yeah. Like, it's enormous. Yeah. And down below, you got music, you have people selling a lot of shit, and you just have everything you could possibly imagine all boiled into this central area, and it's just great. And Cathedral de Notre Dame, it's free, so you might as well do it, but it's not what you would think, and then as well as the Louvre. Mona Lisa is a lot smaller than you think. Yeah, this big. But not quite. But
there are going to be a lot of Asian tourists. No, there's going to be a lot of tourists that are fighting to take a picture with it because it's this big.
True.
Make your way up to the front. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
You're only going to be there once in a lifetime, maybe.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
make your way.
And do guided tours everywhere you go. That's like something you actually want to know about and see. Otherwise, you're just walking through aimlessly. You have no idea what you're really looking at. Yeah, I think that's a pretty valid point. But one more thing that you think.
And then don't be afraid to spend money.
Yeah.
If you have to spend the money to do something, don't forget that it's once in a lifetime.
Yeah, yes, to some people, but
I mean, but it's not an everyday thing.
Right.
So spend the money if it's extra to do the guided tour because you're going to have somebody who knows.
Yeah, and you get to meet a lot of cool people during tours, and the tour guides are really
sometimes they're really into it.
Yeah. They love it. Yeah, if they're doing it, I had a great one in Ireland and in Rome. We had a phenomenal tour guide, and he was like, he went above and beyond for sure.
A tip would be to bring a student ID.
Yes.
If you're a student.
Student ID.
Student ID.
Save you a lot of money.
Saves you some money in France.
And abroad in general, really. In Germany, I missed out on it, probably only 10 quid, but either way. Let's see. Why is it important for young people to travel abroad and even study abroad?
I mean, I think it's, like I said, it's a must.
Mm-hmm.
People that aren't born with a passport don't always see it as realistic.
Yeah, true.
Those who are born, they have a passport. They never knew a life without one. Traveling is different for them. It's expected. It's part of life. It's what you do on spring break. It's what you do on summer break.
Yeah.
And when you're not traveling, you are working or you're in school.
Yeah.
It's a must.
Yeah.
For those that were not born with a passport, it's not as unrealistic as you might think.
Yeah. And really, you can do it pretty cheap. Like, I mean, especially Eastern Europe. I mean, Paris and Rome, those type of places are a little more expensive.
Right.
But stay in a hostel, they're actually quite great. I mean, I hated on them hardcore before I went, but then I stayed in one and I was mind blown. Then... Let's see.
Things here are expensive because Americans are quite spoiled.
Yeah.
We love convenience. We love, a 24/7 CVS, a 24/7 Walgreens, a 24/7 Kroger. These things don't exist abroad necessarily. Right. Things close at a certain time. They close for lunch. They close on Monday and Sunday.
Yeah.
These cultural differences make for a perhaps affordable experience.
Yeah.
Whereas here we think things are expensive because we like convenience and we spend a lot.
Yeah.
Abroad, you can make a trip with a hostel instead of
hotels.
Yeah. A hostel where you share
or couch surfing is free. I didn't do that personally, but that's a cool thing to do. I would definitely check
Airbnb.
It out. Yeah, Airbnb. A bit more pricey in certain areas, but and with
if you spend your first night in the Airbnb, you have to pay the fee. Maybe Airbnb takes a cut, but maybe you meet the landlord. You guys connect, is what I did in one of my Paris days. And I told him I'll pay you cash for the second couple nights. That way I can have a discount. He said yes.
Yeah. See, makes sense. And with studying or even traveling in general, like you said, a lot of people see it as like so far-fetched and so
unrealistic. Not going to happen. Not for me. Maybe when I'm retired.
Yeah, and if you just go spend $150, get your passport, and you have it, and you just know it's possible, I think that'll change your mindset on it.
Absolutely.
But why I believe that traveling is like, incredibly important is not only you get to see all the sights and you get to go all the places, see the cultures, but the network that you create through it. I have friends in every country now. I have people I can call on. Every different place I went, I think I met someone except France because we were in an Airbnb but either way, like, you get to know these people and you get to just have a massive network. So your next trip, you could stay with them for free. Or you could go do the local thing sometime and just check it out. But, I mean, that's kind of my view on it. And I think a lot of people just don't see it as even a necessity. But I think that, especially being young, like if you're between the ages of 18 and 25, like, you don't have shit for responsibilities. You don't really
have kids.
Yeah, you don't have, most likely, and you don't have a major job that's like taking up your time. So like, make the sacrifice to save up the couple $100s a month, save up a couple thousand, and then just do it and plan it. And like I said, if you go to Eastern Europe, you can spend $50 a day and living like a king. And I would suggest
my budget when I was living in France, other than rent, was €15 a day.
Wow.
And
my budget was 100.
I lived like a king.
120, yeah.
I got free range chicken. I mean,
yeah.
You know, like I got some of the best quality food because I'm really big on food.
Yeah.
And I lived well because I thought about it.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's
I didn't
realistic.
realize that it was that small, but yeah, and so I think that, I mean, one more point that you want to make about why people should travel.
Why should you go to school? Why should you start a family? Why should all these things they're said to make you feel make you a better person?
Mm-hmm.
So does traveling. That's one thing that it might be a little bit out of your comfort zone because you have to save up a little bit to do it. And you have to go out there and get the passport. You have to
be alone. Maybe you have to see new cultures, not speak English.
But it's worth the investment.
Oh,
it's an investment,
absolutely.
just like getting an education or just like XYZ. That's an investment.
You never know. You might meet the girl of your dreams over there, and it's worth it.
That might happen.
I might have done.
I'm hoping that'll happen next time. Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jad, for coming on.
My pleasure.
And I hope you all enjoy this interview and
thanks for having me.
Take the chance and go abroad. I think it'll really change your life. So
do it.
Enjoy.
Do it.